What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I've got my coffee, I've got my blocks, and I've got another batch of absolutely wild whispers from the internet. So let's just get comfortable and dive in. Today's theme seems to be all about family, the good, the bad, and the incredibly awkward. We're going to be talking about everything from jealousy at family vacations to the chaos of discovering a decades-long secret to a sister-in-law who has, let's just say, a very unique understanding of personal space. It's going to be a journey. So grab a snack, get cozy, and let's get into our first whisper. Father's secret relationship. So in 2017, my dad decided to leave our family in the Northeast to take a job in the far Southwest. We all knew it was halfway out the door. He and my mom had been separated for years by then. But it was still a big blow to me and my siblings, even though we were all already 18 plus. When he finalized everything to leave, there was a big blowout. We all cried, shared feelings, but ultimately he said he wanted to do something for himself. He'd spent a long time supporting us kids and felt this could be a big move for his career and happiness. It took a long time to get used to, and it's still difficult now, but we make it work with frequent visits and phone calls. Recently, I've started suspecting he has a GF where he lives. I don't even remember when I started noticing. It was just little things, like seeing Snapchat on his phone. He never told me, and I'm a frequent SC user. A random woman saved to his frequent calls and some sketchy emails on his laptop when I borrowed it. A lot of this just popped up, and I didn't mean to snoop, though, yeah, sometimes I did. My dad always said he had no secrets and didn't even use passwords on his devices. The thing that really cemented it for me was seeing his Google reviews. I was using my Google business account and saw he followed me. I checked his profile and saw reviews for massage places, hotels, and even one with pictures of some random woman. It's pretty obvious he's seeing someone. I know he's an adult and can be with whoever he wants, but it makes me super uncomfortable. Mostly because he's never told us anything. As far as I know, my siblings don't know either. He never officially divorced my mom, though there's zero chance of reconciliation, and I know he's cheated on her before. The only reason I've looked past all this is for my mom's sake. She insists we keep a good relationship with him and not let it affect us, but I still feel some resentment. I have a lot of other issues with my dad, mostly from his absence and how he treated my mom. He seems happier now, but it breaks my heart knowing that he's happier without us. I once told him this during an emotional moment, and he broke down crying too. He said it wasn't true, that he tries to stay connected, and that before the pandemic, he was planning monthly visits to see us more often. He's not a terrible father, but sometimes his efforts feel painfully inadequate. But how can I blame him for being happy? How can I make him feel bad for seeing someone he enjoys being with or having a job he loves? I know he gets lonely, and from what I figured out, she doesn't live nearby, so it must be serious if it's a long-distance thing. What really bothers me is that he hasn't told me or my siblings. But maybe it's because of this exact confusion I'm feeling. I feel like as an adult, I should just accept this and move on. It's his life. But it still feels so uncomfortable. I don't want to confront him and make it worse, and I especially don't want my mom to find out and get hurt, even though she doesn't care much for him anymore. My dad's nearing retirement, and this woman seems younger. I don't know what his future plans are with her, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but a big part of me just doesn't want this secret woman to be part of my future. I know this was a lot. I have a lot of confused feelings, and there's probably more I haven't even touched on. I'll try to answer any questions. Any advice or comfort would be appreciated.
All right, for our first whisper of this video, we're getting into some really complex family dynamics. This isn't a story with clear villains or heroes. It's just messy, like real life. So the narrator's dad moves across the country, which is already a tough pill to swallow, even for adult kids. But the real issue isn't the distance, it's the secrecy. Our narrator stumbles upon this whole secret life their dad is living. The Google reviews for hotels, the random woman in the photos. That's some next level detective work, by the way. And the core feeling here is so relatable. It's that gut-wrenching moment when you realize your parents are not just mom and dad, they're actual complicated human beings who have lives and make choices you might not understand. The narrator says, "It breaks my heart knowing that he's happier without us." Man, that line hits hard because it's a fear a lot of us have, right? That the people we love might actually be better off without us. But let's flip it for a second. The dad. He was in what sounds like a loveless marriage for decades. He finally makes a move for his own happiness. Can you really blame him for finding a new partner? Probably not. The real problem isn't that he has a girlfriend. The problem is that he's hiding her. And why is he hiding her? The narrator nails it. Maybe it's because of this exact confusion I'm feeling. The dad is probably terrified of this exact reaction, his kids feeling replaced, hurt, or judging him, so he just avoids it, which of course only makes things 1,000 times worse. So, what's the move? The narrator feels like they should just accept this and move on. And yeah, eventually that's the goal, but you can't just skip to the acceptance part without going through the "this feels really weird and uncomfortable" part first. The best advice here is for the narrator to talk to their dad, but not with an accusation. Not, "I know you have a secret girlfriend," but with their own feelings. "Hey, I feel like there's a part of your life you're not sharing with us, and it makes me feel distant and a little hurt. I want to be a part of your happiness, not an obstacle to it." This whisper is all about the painful transition we all go through when we realize our parents' lives don't revolve around us anymore. It's about learning to see them as individuals and giving them the grace to be happy, even if it's in a way that feels strange to us. That's some real adulting right there.
My dad stole my wedding gift for his secret family. Update. I hear you all and you're right. My mom deserves to know. I have a lot to digest and consider, but I think I want to tell my siblings first before I tell my mom. Then we can all show her support together when the time comes. My fear of telling her first or telling them all at the same time is that if they haven't processed our dad's betrayal, they'll protect him in a gut reaction and further hurt my mom. Background history. My parents gifted me a ruby necklace for my wedding. It disappeared shortly after the wedding, and my mom never let me live it down. For years, we accused my BIL of stealing it. BIL had a gambling problem, and there was a point where we thought he was stealing from the family to pay off his bookies. At the beginning of lockdown, my dad asked me to help him get the Wi-Fi connection fixed on his iPad. He was still essential, so he was on campus, but IT was not. While we were driving to his work, he told me to stop accusing my BIL of stealing my necklace. He admitted that it was actually him who stole it from me. For his daughter. My sisters? No, he said, for his other daughter that I don't know about. For a second, I thought he was talking about the baby my mom miscarried when we were young, until I remembered the baby was a boy. I sat there and watched as my dad tearfully recounted his secret family. How he had a former girlfriend whom he'd accidentally gotten pregnant. He stole my necklace to give it to his secret daughter on her 16th birthday because my mom controlled the family finances, and there'd be no way he could provide anything else for her. He gave her the necklace, figuring it would mean more to the other girl than it would to me. When he gave her the necklace on her 16th birthday, that was the last time he saw her. She got drunk celebrating and died in a crash that very night. I did the math slowly. My youngest sister was 17 when I got married, which means he'd been cheating on my mom for likely her entire life. He got this woman pregnant while he had a newborn and 3 other young kids at home. Shortly after they cremated their daughter, his girlfriend disappeared to start a new life. He never found her. He asked me not to tell my siblings because it would tear the family apart. In the months after, I was filled with grief and rage. My siblings couldn't understand why I was suddenly prone to emotional outbursts. Eventually, I told my husband when I started to feel like I was suffocating. He told me to confront my dad. My dad owed me that much. I asked, why would he do this to our family? He tried blaming it on my mom, saying that they were never happy in their arranged marriage and they fought too much. My mom was constantly accusing him of having other women, and he would always say she's paranoid. How can you accuse me of that and say that in front of our kids? He let us grow up thinking our mom was crazy and jealous for no reason. It's been a few years since he blew my world apart and broke my heart. I've never been a good secret keeper, but I'll be darned if my mom ever finds out. This would kill her, to have all her fears confirmed. Part of me wonders whether she knows, but she's too much of a narcissist. She would never keep silent and let my sisters defend my dad every time they fight. That same part of me hopes that she will eventually pass before him. I don't want her to know, but I'm too angry to let him die a saint in my siblings' eyes. That's how I know I'm just as doomed as he is. Edit. I got very overwhelmed last night, so I ended the post abruptly. I'll answer questions when I can. I appreciate everyone helping me unpack this and giving me a new perspective.
All right, for this next whisper, man, I don't even know where to start. This isn't just a story about a secret family. This is a story about a lifetime of lies that just keeps getting deeper and darker with every layer you peel back. First, you have the stolen necklace, which is already a huge betrayal. For years, the whole family is blaming the brother-in-law, a guy with a gambling problem. It's the perfect setup. But the real thief was the dad. That alone is a massive blow. But then he drops the real bomb. He didn't just steal it. He stole it for his secret daughter from a secret family that he had for likely the narrator's entire life. That's a level of deception that is just hard to even comprehend. He wasn't just lying, he was living two entirely separate lives. While raising a family, he was creating another one. And the way he justifies it, blaming his arranged marriage, blaming the mom for being paranoid when she was right all along, that's some next level gaslighting. He didn't just betray his wife, he actively made his own children believe their mother was crazy for suspecting the truth. That is just cruel. And then in the middle of all this betrayal and deceit, there's this layer of absolute tragedy. The secret daughter, who receives the stolen necklace as a symbol of, what, a father's fractured love, dies that very night. It's just devastating. There are no winners in this story. Everyone loses. So the narrator is now stuck with this impossible burden. The secret is like a poison. Keeping it is eating her alive, making her angry and resentful. But telling it could destroy her mother and tear her siblings apart. It's a classic no right answer situation. Her final lines are what really hit me. I don't want her to know, but I'm too angry to let him die a saint in my siblings' eyes. That's how I know I'm just as doomed as he is. That is heartbreaking. She feels trapped by his lie, forced to choose between protecting her mom's peace and revealing the truth of who her father really was. This whole whisper is about the devastating ripple effect of a single person's lies. It's not just about the affair. It's about an innocent man being blamed for years, a mother being gaslit into thinking she's paranoid, children growing up with a fractured reality, and a daughter now forced to carry the weight of it all. It's a heavy, heavy story with no easy answers.
All right, let's just hit the pause button for a second. We've been diving into some pretty intense whispers, and my brain needs a quick reset. It's wild how complicated people's lives can get, right? One theme that keeps popping up in these stories is family drama. It seems like no matter who you are or where you're from, every family has at least one story that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. So that got me thinking, and I'm curious to hear from you guys. What's the wildest, most unbelievable family secret or story you've ever heard? You don't have to share your own, obviously. Let's keep things respectful. But maybe a story a friend told you or something you read that just made your jaw drop. Drop the craziest but anonymous family story you know down in the comments. I feel like we could probably make a whole series just out of those. Okay, that's enough of a break. We've got more whispers to get through, and believe me, the next one is something else. Let's get back into it.
I caught my mom, who I thought was an angel, having an affair on my dad. Now I can't stand her and see her for the sociopath she is. I grew up loving my mother dearly, as most sons do. She was protective, kind, beautiful, successful, and smart, and was someone I strove to be like when I was young. However, I wasn't seeing the side of her that is at her core, And within the past 3 years, I have come to despise her. She is selfish, manipulative, two-faced, and an overall bad human, which is a tough pill to swallow when I adored her for 25 years. It's weird how you don't really know your parents until you become an adult. My parents are in their late 50s. My dad is very successful and is an all-around good guy, great father to my sisters and I, and is a way better husband than my mom deserves. They've been together since they were in high school, when in their sophomore year, my mom literally pulled a girl out of his Jeep and got in because she wanted to be with him. Red flag. He is more passive, and my mom is aggressive, obviously. 4 years ago, my now wife and I were soon to be married. My mom suggested we all take a motorcycle trip one weekend with her old coworker, we'll call him James. The dynamic and overall vibe of being around my mom's old friend was strange. He was a nice enough guy. He was tall, handsome, rich, and brawny. He loved taking pictures of my mom and dad, which creeped me out. Anyways, nothing of importance happened on this trip, but my mom starts acting strange afterwards. One night, a few weeks after our motorcycle trip, my mom was acting weird at a concert, disappears for an hour. I went looking for her, and when I came back with no luck, I asked my sister if she's been able to get a hold of her. She rolls her eyes and goes, "I didn't bother calling. She's probably calling James." She then drops a bomb and tells me she and Dad suspect she is having an affair with him. She goes on to explain how sketchy she has been acting, doing things like changing her phone and iPad password, stepping out for phone calls and whispering, even putting a jar of rocks on her phone while she slept. My dad managed to look in her phone before she changed her password and saw some suspicious, cryptic dialogue. My mom finally gets back to us at the concert, and I ask her what took so long. She makes up some weak excuse. After this concert incident, my dad finally approaches my mom about everything. He demanded to see her call history and sees a 45-minute call to James at the time of the concert. He demands to know what is going on, and she says he is just going through a hard time. Basically, the sketchiness goes on for months, and at the time of my wedding, my dad has a tracker in her car, has requested call logs from the phone company, and is looking at hiring a private investigator. I still remember dancing with her at my wedding. She looked at me adoringly, and I couldn't look back at her. A month or so after my wedding, I go to stay with my old college roommate for a weekend. He lived by my grandparents' lake house, and I was going to pick up my kayak from their house that day. My dad randomly calls me and tells me my mom said she was at the lake house with her girlfriends this weekend, and he wants me to be prepared if that isn't the case. I didn't give my mom a heads up that I was coming on purpose, and as I drive up, I'm relieved to see just her car and another girly-looking car in the driveway. The back patio door is unlocked, so I walk in. The first thing I see is a leather motorcycle jacket hanging on one of the bar stools, and I immediately recognize it as James's. My heart starts pounding. I act fast, assuming they aren't there, but could be pulling up any minute. I take a picture of the jacket, I go to the garage, and sure enough, James's motorcycle is there. I take a picture of that, and then run back in and see cell phones charging in the kitchen. I grab a phone I don't recognize. It didn't have a lock on it, so immediately go to the pictures. First one is of two people I don't recognize, as well as my mom and James, and they're kissing each other on the lips. I scroll a little and more of the same stuff. I take a few quick pictures of the photos in the phone and run out of the house. Something I should add here. When I was 7, my mom left my dad for a doctor, and my dad reluctantly took her back after she begged and pleaded. Okay, so anyways, I peel out of the driveway at the lake house and call my dad to tell him his wife of 25 years is cheating on him. When he answers, I just blurted out, "James is here, I have proof, and Mom is cheating on you." He was in shock. He apologized that I had to be the one to see it, and then said he's on his way. It's a 3-hour drive. He sneaks up there after dark and sees them on the patio with another couple drinking wine. They're cuddling and kissing each other. He did the smart thing, thankfully, and just took pictures of them and left. The next morning, he cleared out their bank account, sent her the pictures he and I took, along with a text that said, "I know everything, I'm leaving you." The next year was a nightmare for everyone. She dropped James and begged my dad to take her back. She cried every day for a year. She blamed my dad's twin brother for almost everything. She tried to manipulate everyone to make us think she was the victim here. It made me sick. My dad, on the other hand, went full-blown frat boy with his newly found freedom.
Anyways, my wife and I became pregnant with our first child, and the joy of it was completely overshadowed by my mom's constant meltdowns. For 10 months, she relentlessly berated my dad for not being able to forgive her and used my unborn child as a pawn to get him back. After a while, and against me and my sister's encouragement for my dad to stay strong, my dad caved and slowly started to get back with her. They sold their house and now live together in a townhome. My daughter is 17 months old now, and my parents have fallen back into their relationship of my mom dominating his life. She's a sociopath who has to be in control of everyone. We all love her despite this, but I'm the only one who calls her out on her stuff. Not sure how to end this, just wish my mom wasn't such a bad person. If you made it this far, thanks for reading.
Okay, I just finished reading this one, and my brain is basically scrambled eggs right now. This isn't a story, it's a whole family saga of secrets and betrayal that just keeps unfolding. So, you've got this guy who thinks his mom is basically a saint for 25 years. The perfect, protective, smart mom. And then he slowly starts realizing the person he idolized is a complete stranger. It's like finding out your favorite superhero is actually the villain. That's rough. And the red flags here, man, they're not just red flags, they're a full-on parade. The mom pulling another girl out of a Jeep to get with the dad in high school, that's not a meet cute, that's the opening scene of a psychological thriller. Then she plans a casual motorcycle trip with her husband, her son, his fiance, and her secret boyfriend. The sheer audacity is just mind-blowing. Honestly, shout out to the narrator's detective skills. The concert interrogation, the lake house mission, it's like a spy movie. He went in looking for a kayak and came out with a boatload of family trauma. You can just feel his heart pounding through the text. But the part that's just infuriating is what happens after she gets caught. Red-handed, undeniable proof, game over, right? Nope. She doesn't own it. She drops the other guy and launches this year-long victim campaign, crying, manipulating, blaming everyone else. She even uses her own grandkid as a bargaining chip. That's not someone who's sorry they hurt people. That's someone who's just mad they got caught. And the dad? You gotta feel for the guy. He gets cheated on twice, lives under her thumb for decades, and the second he's free, he goes full-blown frat boy. And you know what? Good for him. He's just trying to feel something other than pain for the first time in 30 years. Now they're back together, and the narrator is stuck in this impossible spot. He loves his mom, but he can't stand the person she actually is. That's a really heavy thing to carry. His final line of, "just wish my mom wasn't such a bad person," is just so simple and heartbreaking. This whole whisper is just a wild lesson in how you can spend your whole life with someone and never really know them. And it's a reminder that sometimes the perfect angel is just the one who's best at hiding their horns.
Am I the a-hole for ending a 12-year-long friendship? We were 3 close friends for years. Over the years, I felt like me and one of my 2 friends slowly grew apart. I clearly felt that she found other friends she was closer to, and it was okay for me. In the summer of 2020, her and her husband started on Project Baby. At that time, I wanted a baby too, and me and my husband started at Project Baby 2 or 3 months after my friend. I got pregnant after 2 months before my friend. It has always been like the 3 of us told each other everything. I sent a picture of the positive test in our group chat before I told my husband. I was pretty excited, and of course I didn't talk about much else for a few days. But it bothered my friend. But instead of saying it was hard for her, she said it in a way that really hurt me. She was mad at me, and suddenly she wanted to make rules on how much I could talk about baby stuff. I asked if she could send a Spacelli smiley when it was too much or something like that, because I would respect that. But she said no. She didn't want to say stop to a friend. Instead, she wanted me to be the one to be able to know when it was too much for her. Like I could know that. I really tried to tone it down, like I stopped talking about it. But after my first scanning, I put a picture of it in our group. At that time, it had been weeks where I didn't talk about baby stuff. She didn't react at all, and that hurt me.
For a long time, we didn't talk. She stopped texting in the group chat, and so did I. What really hurt me is that I found out that one of the new friends my friend had gotten was pregnant, and my friend asked about it, was interested in the pregnancy, and asked about scans and stuff like that. Meanwhile, I was not allowed to talk about my pregnancy. When we hadn't talked for like 6 months or close to that, she wrote in our group chat that she was pregnant, 6 weeks or something like that. And I just couldn't be happy for her. I did congratulate her, but deep inside, I didn't show it because I didn't want to be like her. I wanted to be happy for her, but then she wrote that she might have reacted bad when I told her about my pregnancy. And then I just couldn't be in it. For months, I had been sad and felt lonely. I missed my friend more than ever, but I didn't feel like she was my friend. So that's when I stopped the friendship. I told her I was happy for her and wished her everything good, but that I wanted to end the friendship. I kept the ball at my place and told her that I felt our friendship hadn't been the same for a few years, and now I needed to say stop. She said that she hadn't seen that coming, which I find weird since we hadn't been talking for months. So, was I the pregnant a-hole taking things too close, or was I right feeling hurt? To the story, you need to know that I had another friend and a sister both fighting to get pregnant, and they were both able to be happy for me, and they were able to tell me when the baby talk was too much, which I of course respected.
You know, friendships can be super weird. They're like these delicate little plants. Sometimes they grow strong together, and sometimes one of them just stops getting enough sunlight and starts to wither. This whisper is all about that. So, we have two friends, both trying for a baby. The narrator gets pregnant first. Her first instinct is to share this amazing news with her best friends in the group chat, even before her husband. That's a sign of a really deep bond, right? But her friend's reaction is less than ideal. Instead of being honest and saying, hey, I'm so happy for you, but I'm also really struggling, and this is hard for me to hear about right now, she gets mad. She tries to set rules on what the narrator can talk about. That's already a bit of a red flag. But the part that's just completely unfair is when she says, I don't want to have to tell you to stop. I want you to just know. I'm sorry, what? Is the narrator supposed to be a mind reader now? That's not how communication works. That's setting someone up to fail. And then comes the double standard. The friend who can't handle hearing about the narrator's pregnancy is totally fine asking another pregnant friend all about her scans and stuff. Ouch. That's not about her being sensitive to baby talk. That's about her being sensitive to the narrator's success. It's pure jealousy, plain and simple. For 6 months, they don't talk. 6 months! And then the friend announces her own pregnancy and acts shocked when the narrator ends the friendship, saying she hadn't seen that coming. Like, you haven't spoken in half a year. What did you think was happening? Were you guys just having a really, really long staring contest? So, was the narrator the pregnant a-hole? No, not even a little bit. She's NTA, not the one in the wrong. Her feelings of being hurt and isolated were completely justified. She even offered a solution, a little emoji signal, which was super mature, and her friend shot it down. This whisper is a perfect example of how jealousy and a lack of communication can absolutely poison a friendship. The friend couldn't handle her own difficult emotions, so she made them the narrator's problem and punished her for her happiness. Ending a 12-year friendship is tough, man, but sometimes you gotta prune the dead branches to let the healthy ones grow.
Am I wrong for not going to my brother's wedding? My younger brother is getting married in a few weeks. He and I are both in our 30s. I will not be going. For our entire adult lives, my brother has more often than not treated his family, especially our mom, very poorly and with little importance. He makes little to no effort with them and is cold, distant, and emotionally manipulative. Since my early/mid-20s, I have had my mom telling me how upset she is with how my brother treats her. My mother has described talking to my brother as being like walking on eggshells. She has described his behavior towards her as very cruel and psychopathic. My brother grew up into a very cruel, manipulative, codependent, and emotionally abusive man. I have always had my mom's back and stood up for her to my brother when I know he has been treating her poorly. I have long made my parents a priority in my life and have emotionally and financially supported them, been a friend to them, and treated them to things like a fully paid for vacation. My mom has for a long time directed most of her effort and focus and priority onto my brother. When my mom, brother, and I would all be together for family catch-ups, my mom's focus would always be my brother. I even asked her once if she could give me the same sort of eye contact and focus she gives my brother. I have pointed out to my mom many times over the years the discrepancies in how she treats me versus how she treats my brother. She always replies along the lines of, "I see my brother less." She sees him less because he treats his family as being of the lowest possible importance. My brother treats me like garbage, and my mom doesn't stand up for me. I have communicated my feelings to my mom numerous times about not feeling respected or appreciated or valued. I have told my mom that by always prioritizing and focusing on my brother, that she is rewarding bad behavior and punishing good behavior, and therefore enabling my brother's negative behavior. I have made my peace re my relationship with my brother. The final straw for me came when my brother could not even make time to catch up with me before he moved interstate a few years ago. That was when I gave up on my relationship with him. I have come to believe that my kindness to my family has been seen as weakness, and my availability to my family has diminished my value. I feel my mother does not respect me. It is a sad fact for me to accept because I love my family. I feel very isolated in my family. A couple of months ago, my mom was very upset about my brother's behavior, and I spent a lot of time talking to her about it. I also went through my chat history with my mom and sent her the many screenshots of hers and mine conversations throughout the years re my brother. She called me up asking for forgiveness and apologizing for her behavior, and I immediately told her I forgave her. The very next day, she called me up and told me that if I wanted to be invited to my brother's wedding, I was expected to ring my brother and his fiancée to give them my word that I would behave at their wedding and wouldn't attend their wedding high on substances. I was so upset and angry and hurt that after all that, it only took her less than 24 hours to be right back to throwing me under the bus to try and please my brother. A couple of weeks after this incident, I texted my mom the following message: "I need to choose myself, and I need to protect my own peace. I respect myself too much to allow myself to be treated as I have been. I'm not going to go where I'm not wanted and not respected and not appreciated or valued. I'm choosing myself before anyone else and stepping back from anything that doesn't deserve my energy." My mother never responded to or addressed the message in any way. She just messaged me a couple of weeks later saying I had an invitation to the wedding and that it was now up to me. Am I out of place for being angry at my mom over this and feeling as if she has completely betrayed me?
All right, for our fifth whisper of the day, man, this one is a tough read. This isn't just a story about a wedding invitation. This is about years and years of emotional neglect and the painful moment when you finally realize you have to choose yourself. So you have the narrator, who is by all accounts the good child, supportive, kind, emotionally and financially there for the parents, a literal rock. And then you have the brother, who is the exact opposite: cold, manipulative, treats his family like they're an inconvenience. This is a classic golden child versus scapegoat dynamic, but it's flipped. The good kid is the one being ignored, and the bad kid gets all the attention. The mom's excuse, "I see your brother less," is just so weak. Yeah, you see him less because he doesn't want to see you. You're rewarding his bad behavior with more attention and punishing the narrator's good behavior with neglect. It's a textbook case of enabling. But the part of this story that is just absolutely infuriating is the wedding invitation incident. The narrator spends hours supporting her mom, showing her literal screenshots of the brother's pattern of abuse. The mom has a breakthrough, apologizes, and then less than 24 hours later, she completely throws the narrator under the bus. She demands that the narrator call the brother and basically beg to be allowed at the wedding and promise to behave? I'm sorry, what? The person who has been nothing but supportive has to promise to behave while the abusive brother gets to set the terms? That is just a staggering level of betrayal. And then the narrator sends that incredible, powerful text message. Seriously, that text should be framed. It's a masterclass in setting boundaries and choosing self-respect. And what's the mom's response? Silence. She doesn't acknowledge it, doesn't talk about it, she just ignores it and sends a wedding invitation a few weeks later. That silence is louder than any argument. It says, your feelings do not matter to me as much as keeping the peace with your brother does. So is the narrator wrong for not going to the wedding and being angry at their mom? No, 1,000 times no. This is NTA, not the one in the wrong. Not going to the wedding isn't a punishment, it's a consequence. It's the natural result of years of being disrespected, unappreciated, and treated like their kindness was a weakness. This whole whisper is a powerful lesson about family dynamics and self-worth. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to stop being available to people who diminish your value. And sometimes the loudest statement you can make is your absence. She's not just skipping a wedding, she's choosing her own peace.
And with that, we are at the end of another session of Whispers. Man, today was all about family, huh? The good, the bad, the incredibly messy. We went through everything from petty jealousy to some of the deepest, darkest family secrets imaginable. It's a lot to take in, but if there's one thing I'm taking away from all of this, it's that communication, or the lack of it, is at the heart of almost every single problem. Whether it's a friend who can't express their jealousy or a dad who can't reveal a secret, talking seems to be the hardest part. And speaking of talking, I genuinely want to hear what you all think. Which story from today's video hit you the hardest? Was there a moment where you were just shaking your head like I was? Drop your final thoughts on everything we covered down in the comments. I'll be hanging out there reading through them. If you enjoyed diving into these stories with me and being a part of this community, it would mean the world if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We are just getting started here, and I'm stoked to have you along for the ride. Thanks again for spending your time with me today. Stay safe, be good to each other, and keep an ear out for those whispers.